Hey guys, SebTube here. There could be exciting times coming because Deca is working on a seasonal mode for Realm of the Mad God, which if done correctly could be the best update of all time in my opinion. But there is ways that it could go horribly wrong and I'm scared that's where it's headed. But what is the seasonal mode, you might ask? Well, seasonal modes in MMOs and RPGs are becoming quite a popular addition because players find it really fun and refreshing. It's basically where your characters only last for a season and the duration of a season can depend. So everyone starts fresh at the very beginning, they all play together and play for a seasonal or competitive reward. It gives players a nostalgic opportunity to re-experience the game starting fresh because everyone's on an equal playing field and there's so much to do versus the main versions of the same game where sometimes there could be a big disparity between players, the economy can be flooded, and many players feel like they've finished the game and have nothing to do. In the Realm of the Mad God testing servers recently, it showed how it's most likely going to work. When creating new characters, you'll see an optional seasonal mode toggle. These characters are marked with a blue name to everyone, blue or greenish, I can't tell, and has a seasonal sign when selecting your character, and can only trade other seasonal characters. Your seasonal characters share a seasonal vault, gift chest, pot storage, and forge, which will all be reset every season at the end, and the items from those will be transferred to your main account. They did say in a previous production letter that characters that survive the season will be usable in the next. You can use the pets that you normally use on your main characters on your seasonal ones. These characters also have a percentage BSP boost, but I'm not sure if you actually earn BXP fast on these since you are starting brand new. There will be seasonal rewards if you reach personal goals like maxing, speed was one in testing, same as forging particular ST sets, and seasons will most likely be themed. If you played before Unity, you might remember that Deca actually did something really similar to this, with what they called the Rift mode. 3 years ago there was another what you could call seasonal mode, but it was quite different to what the next one might be. The Rift mode came not long before Realm was transferred to Unity, and you accessed it from the menu separate to the main game, and it had its own dedicated servers where there were no normal characters, only seasonal ones, so the game was so slow, but it was so fun. It was kind of like old Realm back in the day. Deca actually intended to simulate it. Like for example, for the first theme of the first season, it was meant to just be really OG and there were only Wild Shadow era dungeons. The first Oryx 1 and Oryx 2 were absolutely insane. Same as when people did like tombs and ocean trenches, they were just like back in the day. There were other themes in successive seasons as well, like for example there was a snow theme, a parasite theme, I forgot the fourth one. You also didn't get your main pet on this one and you had to start with a new one, so players actually had to sit back and regen instead of tanking everything like crazy people, and progressing a new pet alongside your new character was pretty damn satisfying. It was basically another goal to strive for, and you had items to look out for because of feed power. They made feed power drop from more places and made them drop more often, as well as Y bags. One weird thing about the seasons of the Rifts is they were way too short. Like, the ones that I remember lasted only 4 days. And the last difference that I remember was that there was also a competitive reward on top of the normal seasonal ones. The player with the most fame of each season got a special badge beneath their star. It's gone now for some reason. Another weird change I just remembered is that you could only make a limited amount of characters, which was a bit strange. Most people look back at Rifts and remember it as being a lot of fun, and I had an amazing blast during it as well. The Rift season stopped because of the transfer of the game from Flash to Unity, and they said instead of bringing that functionality to Unity, they would instead be working on something similar, which is most likely this seasonal mode. Many agree that it was too short and had some issues, but I don't think it's as many as the upcoming seasonal mode might have. Before ranting on the potential bad things of the update, let me cover the good things about the new seasonal mode that's coming. There will be probably a massive influx of players since people often want to try new updates, especially probably this one since it's very unique. And it will probably be even more interesting to people who have nostalgia for Realm and miss the old version of the game, and for those who quit because they feel like there's nothing to do. There's a lot of people waiting for something good to happen in Realm, so I'm sure those kind of people will give it a shot. Having a lot of people play again will feel super exciting, especially when most of the servers feel dead. Now for the second point, for anyone that has stuck with a MMORPG MMORPG in the past, you've probably experienced that over time, while the game exists, problems grow, like the amount of power players have, which makes the earlier content tediously easy, or the economy gets flooded, making trading less interesting, or the developers of the game increasingly add pay-to-win features that allow players to spend money for convenience or to steamroll the game even faster. All of these three issues are a problem for Realm right now and is only growing. And the great thing about seasonal modes for MMOs and Realm of Mad God, in this case, is that it gives the opportunity to reverse these issues. It's really hard to do this in the main game because people get used to a level of power, and having that drawn back feels really bad. It's never a good feeling to do dungeons slower or to not get items as often, say if an item drop rate gets nerfed, or if people pay real money to gain an advantage in the game. We all know pets are pretty OP in Realm, but they used to be even more OP. Deca actually nerfed them before, and really proud that they stuck to their guns with it because so many people were so against it. But yeah, that's where seasonal modes can come in to solve this conundrum. It's funny how people normally don't like nerfs that lead to a decrease in your power or drop rates, but are extremely happy to start brand new characters or accounts in this sort of mode, like in the footage of these rifts. They enjoy the return to a simpler time in the game, where there's a slower pace so progression feels more meaningful and really addictive, and there's no pay to win. Even those choosing not to play on seasonal characters will feel the pace of the game slow down, due to others playing the seasonal mode. The game right now especially has a poor reputation with pay to win. Surely Deca will take this opportunity to draw back on it, right? Right? Third good thing in my opinion is that unlike the Rift mode, there's no competitive rewards. It is probably no surprise to anyone that cheating is a very common thing in Realm right now, so it would probably be pretty hard to make the competition of a competitive reward fair. This is because most competitions will involve you reaching some sort of goal, which would probably be easier if you have Auto Nexus and other benefits like that on your side. In the old Rift mode, the competitive seasonal reward was given to players who achieved the highest fame characters during that season, though legitimate players were still able to win because the seasons were so short, only like less than a week, so it's really not difficult to make a lethal mistake during that time period. Now imagine for the same competition, if the season lasts 8 weeks, like what the next one will most likely last. It's pretty hard to stay consistent, especially because there can be all sorts of bullshit that can happen, like frame skip deaths, lag, and those sorts of things. There's also the issue of some competitions just being time-based, like the last seasonal mode, where heaps of people had the skill to win. It just came down to how much people were willing to play, basically. It reminds me of the Shatters contest that was in the game recently. The people that did the most Shatters within a few weeks got exclusive skins. I personally didn't bother with it because most people were running with Discords, and at that point they're extremely safe and min-maxed. And yeah, I think it went for a full month, so CBF. But yeah, players were just chaining keys in highly efficient Discord groups. What do you think is the chance that a free-to-play player got on that leaderboard by doing shatters from only avatars in the realm, when they only appear once per realm every 20 to 30 minutes or so? You know, I'd probably bet heavy on it being 0, but if someone did, they deserve a Nobel Prize. Everyone knows that I'm not a big fan of the Forge, and a lot of people share my opinion. That's one of the reasons why so many RotMG content creators quit. The Forge basically makes Realm feel like a sandbox game to me. For those that have played a lot, you can basically make what you want when you want, with the Forge file being a limiting factor, of course, unless you're willing to spend money. Because of that, it makes me really miss the old Realm, where you grind for items, and when you got items, it was a symbol that you conquered the dungeon. And yeah, it was honestly like a drug, the amount of dopamine you got hit by. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen those clips where I just leave double O3 whites on the floor for the lols. Oh, double white? These can both be forged, it's fine. I just have to wait 10 days to forge that double white, because that's what MMORPGs basically are. A grind and challenge of your skill for the reward of cool pixel items. And it's a symbol of the insane challenges you had to overcome. That's actually why I've been grinding whites on Daza again a lot lately, even if the game is very dead. I do have an exciting video coming on that game soon, TM, by the way. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna love the most about the seasonal mode. The Forge resetting, the ability to grind for white fights again. I can't imagine it. It's been so long. I know I could just make a PPE or continue on my HPs, but it just feels a lot more meaningful when it's like an official mode in the game, because so many people will be farming for the same items with you, and the game keeps you accountable. The Forge resetting also means you'll need to get blueprints again, which is another layer to progression. When the Forge initially came out, the blueprints dropped so often, including the really expensive ones. It was very silly, like 4 times the rate of white bags, so it didn't take very long until you can start crafting whatever you wanted. So it's gonna be pretty fun unlocking all the blueprints at the same time as maxing your characters and progressing in gear. Okay guys, the real grandma complaining begins now. To start off, why the fuck is this not a PPE mode? The PPE mode is possibly the most requested update in the entire game's history. If you do a Reddit search for PPE mode, you will see a load of results. Try the same for seasonal mode and you actually won't find a single one, at least when I tried. In other games that have modes both similar to PPE mode and seasonal mode, like old school RuneScape for example, where they have an Iron Man mode, which is their version of PPE with similar rules, and Fresh Start Worlds, which is their version of a seasonal mode. In that game, the Iron Man mode is way more popular. Now I'm not doubting that both updates could be great for the game. Both are very similar because they're based around restrictions, but PPEs have been more common in-game and extremely more common on YouTube. Part of their popularity is that you feel much more satisfaction for building the characters. Basically, a PPE is just a character that can't trade others and can't take from the vault. Sometimes some other optional rules like not using Forge. Critics of the PPE mode would say nothing is stopping you from making PPEs on your own, and that is definitely true, but why do you need a seasonal mode when you can just create a new character every 8 weeks and then delete it at the end? Having a PPE mode as a setting for a new character would be great because it allows others to see that you're doing a PPE with no way that you could be dodging the rules around it, and they can cheer you on and share your successes with you, especially when you're playing with others. Now, I wouldn't be bringing up the PPE mode at all normally if Deca didn't say extremely happily that they're working on a PPE mode.
Will there be a PPE mode? Asks.
Yes! Yes, there will be. So definitely yes.
We want it
So
bad!
It's a very big important part of how a lot of people play the game.
I don't think I've heard someone be more excited to announce an update for a game before. It seemed pretty real. And yeah, when they said this on the stream 7 months ago, everyone was pretty excited as well. And for sure they could be working on a PPE mode alongside a seasonal mode, because they did say they were working on a seasonal mode even earlier, like 9 months ago to be exact. But my concern is that since they're very similar in how they work, and there has been no more mentions of the PPE mode since 7 months ago, I'm scared that they just replaced the PPE mode with the seasonal mode. So why would Deca do a seasonal mode if the PPE mode is obviously a lot more desirable? Well, I got just the idea.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Financially, a PPE mode would be a lot less potential revenue per user than a seasonal mode. I really wish they tried to maximize the amount of players first, especially because there's already so much in the game you can spend on. And then surely when there's more people playing at the same time, there's a chance they'll be earning more. It can already be sometimes really embarrassing streaming Realm of the Mad God when there's so much pay to win shit in the game. Do we really need to incentivize spending money even more? Why exactly would a PPE mode make less money for developers than a seasonal mode? Because of the rules of a PPE mode, a lot of the potential ways to spend money in the game are actually unused. So like for example, the first one being the vault. Vaults normally cost 500 golds or about 5 USD, and PPEs can't use these at all. But for your seasonal characters, you start with a single vault and 7 possibly purchasable ones. So even if you're like me and you spent hundreds of dollars on vaults in the main version of the game, get ready to shell out even more. For me, it will be around $35. Also, if you want to have a nice head start in the seasonal mode, you can buy yourself a level up potion, backpack, maybe even some loot drops, heck, even some loot tiers and nil drops. I heard they're pretty OP. Also, the Forge with paying to win can be fucking insane. Let me give you a quick guide on how you can print white bags like you're the American Reserve. First, you need to find your mum's credit card and spend it on blueprints so you can skip the time and effort getting the fame you would normally need to purchase it from the bazaars or from the in-game shop. If you're a wizard, I recommend getting the Pyra blueprint, the Ring of the Pyramid, for the best pay to win ring for $12, bargain. And then you can get the Parasite spell for $9, until you can forge the Thicket spell, the Water Silk robe for $6.5, and the STAFF for $9. That's only $36.50 on the forge so far. Normally for these items you need 3 second tier white bag items each. These are the ones that are worth the 30 gold material and the 40 silver material. But every time you craft these items you can spend $2.40-ish for a rare or in place of one of these. So that's a bit over $10 if you buy one of these materials per item for your first set. Now by the time you get these items, even if you do buy the rare ores, I'm sure your town hall has probably already upgraded and you have the full 1600 forge file. With the 1600 you can craft 2 of these items, so you will need to somehow gather another 1600. Normally you will have to wait 6 days for this, but we can just take out Mummy's credit card again and upgrade your town hall. Sorry, I mean refill your forge, which costs you another $8. Later on, when you get the better blueprints, like the late game ones, be prepared to spend 800 gold for the forge fire, since it's 1520 forge fire each, and another 800 gold on a legendary ore. At that point, it's going to be costing you only around $64 per set. So yeah, I think you gathered that this whole bit was a bit of a meme. Like, I doubt many people would actually pay for this. I definitely know some would, but seriously, it kind of sucks knowing that after you go on a painful adventure to get a set, people can always wonder, did he actually get those as a legit drop in the game, or did he pay for those whites and STs? Oh yeah, I forgot about STs. Which one are we buying for our new seasonal character? I heard this Necromancer set is pretty insane. Man, there's so many second to best sets that you can choose from. Oh, Mercy's Bane set? Holy shit, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll get this one. Fuck yeah, I think I'm ready to leave Nexus now. So we got our items. Let's now buy some keys, load up Discord, because why farm in a realm where it can take 10 minutes to find one of the better dungeons, when you can just chain in a private group with extremely strict rules of what people can bring, and have a 12-year-old kid telling you what exactly to do to make it super safe. Actually, let me join Discord runs but not pop keys, so I can say that I'm free to play. The previous Rift mode felt so wholesome, and I think it's probably because of the lack of ability to pay to win. People went straight into the realm, no bazaar, or buying shit from the shop, so every item that people got was appreciated by everyone, because people knew people couldn't do dodgy shit to get it. Making the new seasonal mode more similar to the old Rift mode in terms of integrity should be a priority, because of how much people enjoyed it. Now if Deca doesn't do this, I feel like it's going to be extremely similar to the main game. It might have like some initial rush and some initial excitement about using like a brand new character, but yeah, then it's gonna be more of the same because Discord runs are too good to ignore, so unless you have like a personal rule against it, pretty sure most players will end up prioritizing those. And yeah, it will be such a shame because, as I mentioned before, this is a great opportunity to rewind on some issues in the game like the power creep, the over accessibility of items, and the paying to win, but it could just be wasted. Now you can't talk about being pay to win in Realm without having pets come to mind. Another reason why I think the Rift mode felt so wholesome and fun to play and satisfying to progress in is I think the lack of pets, because pets can be so insane, like healing 90 health per second straight away on a level 1, it's a bit silly. Imagine this Rift footage if everyone had divine pets. Also, last but not least, it's trading. I don't know how I feel about this one. On one hand, trading was in Rifts and it wasn't an issue. I don't remember it being anything too special either. I guess if you're playing with some mates and you get something that would upgrade them, it would be cool to be able to trade that to them instead of not being able to. But on the other hand, it opens up to real world trading, and duping is still a massive issue in the realm of the Mad God right now. So yeah, it wouldn't take long till you see the selling deckers for $1 in Nexus shit. Because remember, it only takes a duper that sell in Nexus, it only takes them, they only need one before there's infinite, if that makes sense, because of duping. There's also been some cases in the past where people just dupe for the meme, like to destroy something that someone perceives as special. For example, back in the day, well not too long ago, Deca made a really rare item tradable called the Amethyst Dagger, and Spencer was freaking out. He was trading so much just for one. So what a lot of cheaters did is they actually duped the Amethyst Dagger and they started giving it out randomly. So yeah, Spencer gave over 30 Deckers for just one Amethyst Dagger. I think it's at sitting at 2 Deca's worth right now because of duping. That's how much it dropped down in value. Yeah, honestly, I feel like trading being disabled is the right play until they fix duping, which only during small periods of Realm, from my knowledge, hasn't been an issue. Now here's what I suggest. I would respect the fuck out of Deca if they disable the gift chest for seasonal characters. Not only would this get rid of a lot of the potential to pay to win because it wouldn't allow you to get STs, but it would also make the mode more similar to the PPE mode that everyone requested in the past, since no gift chest is a common rule for that. Also, having a gift chest for your seasonal characters that's separate to your main character's gift chest will definitely lead to some confusion. Also, in the Bazaar, there's so many items that if purchased for gold, go straight into your inventory, and that includes really crazy ones like you can just get blueprints, you can get sulfur and the materials. On top of that, with Bazaars, that's where the best keyed runs exist. What I would do to avoid both of these is I would disallow seasonal characters from entering Bazaars. The next best keyed runs after that, which are way less efficient, would be the key pops in Nexus, and at that point, many people would consider going to Realm instead. So realms would be a lot more popular instead of what they are now. Also, wouldn't this be crazy if Bazaars weren't joinable by seasonal characters? It would be the first benefit in the history of Realm of the Mad God for joining a guild with other players, other than purely social stuff. Wouldn't that be crazy? Now, something amazing that Deca could do is they could actually reset the pet every season as well. Because not only would this create another layer to progression, instead of just the items, the maxing, the forge, blueprints, and now the pet, it would also create that wholesome experience at the beginning of each and every season, and there would be a lot less complaining about there being nothing to do in the game, because yeah, maxing a divine pet is definitely a bit tough. And the great thing about it as well is while you're leveling your pet, it's so satisfying, because if you ever do get a max divine pet, you will feel like you're the best in the game. Of course, this is assuming that Deca disables the gift chests, because if you can just buy the divine pet, it will be not as cool. Still would be cool. I think still it would be better than being able to use your main pet from your main game. But yeah, that's about it. Really hope Deca doesn't ruin this opportunity. Really keen to see what happens. It's gonna be a shame if it turns out the same way that it was in testing. Let me know what you guys think about the seasonal mode in the comments down below. I make sure to read every single comment. If you guys want to see me play a character that's similar to the seasonal mode, but instead extremely hardcore, where I can't use Nexus, can't use a pet, can't trade, those sorts of things, there should be a video on the screen that you can go to for a playlist. I love you all. I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.